Thank you for watching the Social Just Cause Media. I'm Reverend BK. Please subscribe and like our channel. Thank you for that, as it helps us to boost this channel and to grow it accordingly so we can make more content. Let's get into it. Oh yes, please let us protect Mkhwanazi. Let us protect our general. And with no disrespect to our president, we all know that he would not be doing anything about this issue. By now, South Africans knows that he runs more when the Palestinian calls him. He runs more when Iran calls him. But we, the voters who voted for him, he says, wait 7 days. So we will not be doing anything about it. He's just dragging his feet so that everybody can come down and just forget and let this thing just go out of the news or the media. That's what the president is doing at this point in time. He's just dragging his feet. Why wait 7 days to address this important matter? You call it an important matter. Why not address it accordingly? It's supposed to be addressed. It's supposed to be given that attention. Citizens, Mr. President, are looking for answers from your administration. We've been looking for answers for a long time. And here's an honest police who has come out and brought the news to the South Africans. He has dropped it to the South Africans and he has given to us the receipts. And here you say, oh, wait 7 days until I get to you. Let me apply my... What mind are you going to apply, Mr. President? Because for all we know is that you know about this matter, but you've never done anything about it, just like every other matters. Just like every other matters, Mr. President. Citizens are looking for answers. Let's watch this video and tell me what you think on the comments below on this video, because it seems to be very, very important to deal with, and it's a matter of importance indeed. So let me know what you think at the end of this video. Thank you. Let's watch this video now.
A reminder that President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation this Sunday night at 7 p.m. on developments arising from statements made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi made corruption allegations against senior police officials and the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu. In a statement released by the presidency spokesperson Vincent Makwenya, says that Ramaphosa has been seized with the matter through consultations and will take the nation into his confidence this weekend. Let's now discuss this with our panel with a look at this particular issue and see exactly what is going on. We do have a senior training coordinator on terrorism at the Institute for Security Studies, Willem Els, political analyst, Professor Sipho Sepe, and security analyst, Andy Mashayile. Very good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mashayile. When you hear that the president is going to be addressing the nation on Sunday, what does he say?
One, it's the right thing, the right step, because some of the people involved report to him directly. Two, I am sure the president is going to say to us, I will look at the matter and I am going to invite a retired judge or retired judges or some lawyers so that they can give a hearing to all the sides that are involved, now going into the investigations mode, and the recommendations will come from that team that would have been assembled. I am not expecting the president himself to be sitting through and listening to all of those things. So those that would be identified and would be invited would obviously give the president some recommendations on the steps to take. But this is not very nice. This is a threat to national security. In fact, this is an existential threat to a number of things. Number one being national security and all other programs that come after your national security.
Willem, when you look at the fact that there have been calls for this investigation to take place, with Parliament now saying that the three committees are going to then be looking at this and then making some considerations to the National Assembly on how do they move forward from this. What becomes the next step from all of this?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to you. And in the first place, if you look at these recommendations, of course, they asked for a debate, but it seems that this is just another way where they're trying to buy time, because it will give them about 2 weeks now for these committees to sit. And the problem that you run the risk that some of these people that are being implicated in these reports might be the very people that are sitting on these committees. So that is a bit of a conflict of interest that there might be. But of course, the opposition parties asked for a public debate. Now they said said that they will have it after 2 weeks. And also, I agree with Andy. You know, the president, he almost dragged his feet to deal with a situation of this magnitude. This is very different from many of the previous ones that have been dealt with by the ruling party. And if they're going to deal with that in a similar fashion as they dealt with the others, like for instance with the state capture and the Zondo Commission, and then the very selective in the evidence, but also very selective in or applying or adhering to any of the recommendations. So what we need now, we need swift justice, we need swift action from Parliament's side, from the President's side, because on the grassroots levels, I think the public and the man in the street is tired of these promises, and we need action.
Prof, how much of this should also be looked at through the lens of politics?
Well, it's very difficult at the moment for the president, and he has to be very careful. And as you know, he is a process person, but the process is deliberate because it buys him time to ensure that whatever investigation does not link it to himself and to others. Remember what Mkhwanazi says. He says that these allegations that are grave involve politicians. It involves members of the prosecution. It involves senior police. It also involves members of the judiciary. So when you look at how the Phala matter was handled, initially the president told us that the money that was found in his farm were proceeds of sale, that he was in the business of selling. And later the story started changing. So what you saw is the president subjecting that process to what you call a process, which ultimately led to him being exonerated. Now imagine what Mkhwanazi has actually said. And as the film indicates, you also have a possibility where people who are going to look at this, who are in these committees, may also be implicated. So this is not going to bring comfort to the people of South Africa. And even then, people have to check which judges are going to be put there, because for as long as you have CR17, we don't know who may have received money and who may have given the president money. So it is possible that he'll take his time and make sure that first he does not throw his own comrades under the bus. Remember, it was Mkhunu, the minister, who said the Phala report is classified. It will not be made public. And we have always claimed, and the president has always talked about the importance of transparency. But when it comes to matters that involve him, you don't find transparency. So this notion of a process, but what we know now, as a matter of fact, is that you have a crisis of leadership within the ACPS. But not only that, when it is suggested that these are the kingpins of drugs are working with these people, then you have a problem with public trust. The question is, who guards the guardians? Yeah. So what it will lead to a sense of lawlessness. So I don't think South Africans, what you see now, are going to see three things happening. You're going to see people going into the streets, and they're going to be calling all these politicians who are saying, calm down, to say you are actually thieves. They are going to go to the courts. They're going to go to Parliament. So every side is now open for engagement. Now this is called the real side and struggle. And the question is, will the president be man enough to say, if we're going to come up with a commission of inquiry, those men and women who may be chosen are themselves should be above suspicion. Right. But my sense is that for as long as you have certain things that are classified that involve the president, you can rest assured that the president is not going to he'll make sure that he close ranks.
Yeah, Prof, and if I bring in Andy here, when you look at the TOS team, there are people who are questioning the work of the TOS team. There are people who are saying that these allegations by the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, you need to treat them with some kind of caution, because there might be more to this than meets the eye, but also at the same time, you can't just believe him all willy-nilly. What do you say to that in the work of this political TOS team?
Would then be informed by sitting with that committee or that group of people or those who would be investigating, unpacking the names of those people who are there. I am sure he is cautious from a strategy point of view. I am a strategist. From a strategy point of view, I will just throw one jab so that I can see your responses and your reflexes, which is what he has done. More is coming. Who do you think
this jab is directed at? Who do you think should be the recipient of this jab? Are the people that he mentioned the recipients, or is there somebody that he's targeting that we don't know?
Obviously, you and I can tell, and Brasipo and Willem, they can tell. He's punched the minister in the face by bringing those communications, text messages between the minister and many other people. There was a jab in the face of the minister, and he is expecting the minister to respond in a certain way, which is why from an analysis point of view, which is why in a strategy point of view, he withheld some of those names so that if you say, no, I don't know ABCDFG, then he'll be giving out the names of those individuals.
Willem, the political killings task team itself has come under scrutiny by some people over time who have been asking, is this even a task team that is doing what it is supposed to do? And yesterday, with that briefing by the National Police Commissioner, non-committal on quite a number of issues, even saying that my signature has not even been attached to a letter that says it must be closed. What are you reading from all of that, and what work has this task team done in your view?
Yeah, you know, it's a very difficult situation because on the one hand, you sit with your police procedures, you sit with, for instance, any crime being committed by any policeman or woman, especially using firearms and all the other more serious stuff. You know, that's why we've got IPID, and IPID will have to and has to investigate all. That's your counterbalance when it comes to policemen. Whenever you are combining or setting up a task team like this, you will get people who go rogue. You will have people that overstep the line, and that is how it should be. The way it is being managed is how the outcome is going to be determined. So, of course, if there were people that overstepped, then that should go to IPID, and IPID should come with an investigation on that, and also with the outcome of the investigation. So, just to close down the whole unit that has been doing quite a great job. If you look at the statistics that were actually read and brought to us by General Mkhwanazi on Sunday, you know, if you look at your crime detection rate, your solvency rate in South Africa for all crimes, about 12.5%, and if you look at the cases that he mentioned, it's more than 50%. So the task team must have done something right. We also want them to adhere to all your human rights and stay within the auspices of the law. So that is why it is important how you manage it. You know, asked also about General Mkhwanazi, Fani Masemola, how he handled it. Of course, he was quiet up to some stage. He released a statement where he said that he was informed that there was going to be a press conference, but it will be on firearms, etc., etc. So I think at the moment, I don't think there's a lot of strategy from the police side and from government side in terms of how they're going to solve it in the immediate sort of time frame. They are looking long frame, but I'm just afraid that time is not on their side.
Yeah, gentlemen, let's pause for a second. We do have a statement that has just come in from the judiciary on this particular matter.
And this is what we're getting from the Office of the Chief Justice, in fact, where the statement says, the judiciary has noted with serious concern the recent remarks made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi of the South African Police Service during the briefing that he held on Sunday. The statement goes on to say that such claims made without substantiation are extremely damaging to public confidence in the independence and integrity of our courts, a fundamental pillar of our constitutional democracy. The statement says that Mkhwanazi had alleged that there was collusion between, among others, members of the judiciary and criminals. Now, it says in this regard, the acting Secretary General of the Office of the Chief Justice has now formally asked the Police Commissioner in KZN to basically furnish evidence to support the allegations and to lodge formal complaints where warranted with the Judicial Service Commission and or the Magistrates Commission. So the judiciary this evening in fact, it's not inviting, but they've officially communicated to the police commissioner in KZN, Mkhwanazi, that they would like to be furnished with details of this alleged collusion involving members of the judiciary, i.e. judges, in any corruption or collusion with criminal elements, because they say ultimately it is their job to make sure the judiciary is above such things when you consider the scale of those allegations of wrongdoing.
And of course, as we continue then with this discussion, Prof, I'm going to take your reaction. I hope you did hear much of what that statement had to say.
Yeah, obviously, Chief Justice has to take that position. She has to protect her institution. Otherwise, courts will not be trusted. But having said that, it does require that Mkhwanazi, there is a platform in which he'll be able to put that. Remember what we're talking about here is whistleblowing. So first, there must be a protection of Mkhwanazi, which the people on the ground are now concerned. I mean, if you look at the movement that you find in a number of provinces saying hands off Mkhwanazi. So that's the first thing, that he needs to be safeguarded. Then second thing, you would expect that even the police themselves will make the same claim to say, well, you make this, where's the proof? This is why you need an independent. It cannot be, remember when these things are done, they are done, these are shadowy processes. These are done in the dark corners. So it will not be a simple, straightforward thing that, no, I'm going to mention this judge. He will have to make sure that there is a link, that there's a web of communication. And I should also mention that one of the former constitutional court judge, Cameron himself, he says, when people are arrested and they're put there as drug kingpins, says actually you're putting wrong people there. The real kingpins are in the police. So if you have somebody like Cameron as a judge, a former constitutional court judge saying there is a problem, then we must address it. But I don't think you can fault the Chief Justice for wanting to defend the integrity of the judiciary. That is her responsibility. Yeah. But at the same time, she should not stop the process of saying, let this be done in a manner that is systematic, because this is a web. All right. It is not something that is straightforward. That's why the public has not seen it.
Now, when Mr. Mashaile, when we look at the issue of drug cartels, you and I have spoken about this, that in some of the cases, you find that you're not even hitting the target. You actually are just going for the small man on the street, the runners and all of that. When you listen to that press briefing, did you actually resonate with some of the allegations that are being made there as somebody who's been watching that particular space closely over time?
Yes, ma'am. My spirit and my mind and my understanding itself around that allegation. And remember, KZN has been used by the Central Americas, the Mexicos, the Brazils to drop off contraband, your drugs off the coast, using the harbor there. And in that same space, you're finding both you and I learning about police officers who traveled from 16, who traveled from Gauteng in Mark cars to go and collect 600 kilograms of drugs coming into Gauteng and into other parts of SADC. So
note that what the analyst is saying here, do you remember that Brazil is part of the BRICS? Brazil is part of the BRICS countries, yet they are complicit in pushing contraband to South Africa, drugs. They are so complicit in doing so, and they're doing that, and yet we are running with this BRICS that's busy killing our people through drugs in this country. It's such a shame that we have all of these leaders that basically run around countries that are busy killing us. Even China, they're busy killing us. But we're running around these countries in BRICS. Such a shame.
And he spoke about it, having had spent time with you on that report, the powder storm that was released by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. It shook me and shocked me to the core of my stomach, because I could tell that internationally this has been well known, and here's one person who is responsible for safeguarding the borders and safeguarding the province where the drug dealers internationally happen to play on in terms of drug distribution.
So Velum, when you then look at all of this and the calls for the probe now, because South Africans, for example, would say, if you speak about a commission of inquiry January, alarm bells go off, not only on the budget, but the amount of time that it sometimes does take. And then sometimes some of the, investigations and recommendations are not really acted upon. How quickly do they need to wrap this up, and will they be able to?
Yeah, I think you struck a nerve there, and that is exactly the sentiment amongst the people that we picked up, is that we don't need a protracted and a prolonged another investigation that will continue until the people lost interest and other things happen, and that then the focus will hopefully move away from this investigation.
Indeed, that's the whole idea, President, prolonging this whole issue, is so that people may lose interest and that everything else is forgotten, just like the Palapala issue and just like the CR17 issue and every other issues that are out there. That's the reason why they want this to be pushed out, and taking 7 days to respond on the allegation that's busy breaking the country apart, and above all, SAPS is busy messing up SAPS, this whole issue from General Mkhwanazi. But our president is complicit, just doing absolutely nothing. Thank you for watching Social Just Cause Media. Please subscribe for more of our videos. Thank you. God bless.